Hello. Welcome to the news. This week, lots of news of aircraft and one scenery. Check it out. So I'm joined once again by my fearless co-host, GibboIreland, the man over there. Gibbo! Hang on, Gibbo!
I'm right here, Murph.
Oh, Jesus. I thought you were saying you were sick of it. Right here. Pick up the phone. Anyway, how are you? Great to see you, man.
Good.
Gibbo, we've loads of news this week. So we're going to start off with something that we showed off in the stream on Wednesday. This, Martha's Vineyard, from a developer called Burning Blue Design. One of my favourite developers in the game of developing, because they've mainly focused on some of the UK stuff, but here they are after branching out into the United States. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, Murph, we saw this, as you say, on Wednesday. It's really fantastic, isn't it? I love Burning Blue's work. They did White Waltham that I covered it not so long ago as well, which is awesome. But this is Martha Vineyard Airport. It's Kilo Mike Victor Yankee. It's available right now for £13 from their website. And yes, Murph, this is home to the rich and famous, isn't it? We're familiar with a president or two perhaps landing here, in Air Force One, even touching down on a runway over the years. But this was built in 1942 as a naval air facility, actually, and was used originally to train thousands of fighter pilots on their initial training before deployment to aircraft carriers. But today it's got lots of makeovers and now sports a lively GA hub and operates lots of charters and commuter flights, which ferry people daily from the Vineyard to the mainland. In terms of this sim variant here, it's got over 100 custom 3D objects, all with PBR. It's got over 10,000 stock assets placed everywhere around the actual location, and you took us through every aspect of that, which was just fantastic to see. And yes, it's got custom windsocks, night lighting, static aircraft, and lots more. So definitely one worth checking out.
It's absolutely fantastic. And we flew there on last Wednesday, and it just has that. It just gives you that environmental feel of you have to speak very well dressed. Do you know what I mean? But moving on, look at this thing. I can't pronounce it, but I'll give it a try. Is it the Stimmy?
Correct.
Yeah. I didn't rehearse that at all. But look, it's a glider, but it's a self-propelled glider. It has an engine. And, when I first saw this video, I was like, is that in the sim? Gibbo, what's happening here?
This is our friends again, Murph, that are bringing us this, and we talked about them on the last video to do with the Discus 2C, which is a freeware glider that was released. This is, yes, the Stimmy S12-G. Work on this has already started with the 3D modeling, and it's based on official models provided by Stimmy USA, so they're working in tandem with Gotfriends. It's been a brief statement that announced this, not too much more to go with it, but what's interesting about this is that it mixed the best of both worlds, whereby it's got, obviously it's a glider, so you got that nice relaxing soar in near silence that you get from a glider, but it's got a motor, it's got an engine, a Rotax engine that powers the plane for independent takeoff without the need for a tow plane. So it's going to be with some cool features that'll be interesting to see how Gotfriends work out, including a solar charged battery, or even negative flaps that reduce drag at high speeds by cutting unnecessary lift from the wings. So lots to look out for with this one.
Absolutely, and it's actually slated to be study level. The guys over at Gotfriends were saying they were so happy with the flight modeling in this. It's pretty much on the ball to be study level. So really looking forward to that. Wow. So moving on, a Fokker. No ordinary Fokker. This is the F28 in production from Just Flight, and it's interesting because we've been looking at a lot of pictures recently of the work on the BAE 146, so it's very promising to see another kind of airliner, I suppose, in the works from Just Flight. What do we know about this, Gibbo?
Well, I thought this was family friendly, but language. So this is the Fokker 28 Fellowship, as you say, from Just Flight. They're bringing us 4 variants, the 1000 to the 4000 variants of this regional jet. Again, just been announced. It's in the development section of their website, so that's where you can find images and updates such as this. They promised native modeling with high resolution PBR materials, realistic animations, and I'd say the development work is already underway and actually nearing completion It's going through testing at the moment alongside the flight dynamics of each of these variants. So
Nice.
it'll also have custom sounds, of course, as well, that are in progress at the moment. So it'll be a couple months away yet, but Just Flight, the standard that they provide. Can't wait to see this one.
Absolutely. It looks incredible. Another kind of, medium range jet. It's absolutely fantastic. So moving on, this thing, the Antonov. Now, this is being built by a developer who brought us an aircraft, the Piaggio, I think it was the P149 or the Focke-Wulf P149, which still stands up very well. I mean, that's released now in the platform about a year and it flies really well. This is their next project. What do we know about it?
Yes, this is the Antonov AN2, not the big Antonov that I always think of, the massive thing. This is the AN2, that's an independent project from AT Simulations originally. However, now they're working side by side with the Sobo and Microsoft on bringing this to Microsoft Flight Simulator. The release date for this is currently set to February 22nd, which is around the time frame that we would expect to see Sim Update 8 as well. So it should tie in there very handily with the new series that Microsoft have mentioned is coming to Sim called Famous Flyers.
Ooh.
So it'll have a variety of different configs with different liveries, and it'll be a mix between the classic panel with steam gauges and a more modern variant with GPS. It will be an add-on though, and we expect it to be priced around the $15 mark.
Nice. I suppose it's a similar project of what was done with the Junkers, with the Ju-52. But AT Simulations, as I said, that P149 that they've built, it's a very feature-rich add-on. So it'll be interesting to see where they bring the Antonov. But really, really looking forward to that. So moving on, we have news of the next update for Microsoft Flight Sim, and of course it's going to be a world update. We finally got some info on this. So what's happening, Gibbo?
It's releasing, Murph. January 31st is actually the new release date. I think it was originally slated for the 25th, but now it's the 31st. Unfortunately, as we know, it's the Australia continent itself, not New Zealand, that will be included in this update. I'm sure that will follow later. Details are kind of light on the ground as far as what's included. However, there is an expectation that this may be an update that has the most number of photogrammetry cities included. So when we hear about new POIs and airports and photogrammetry, we'll be sure to let you know that will be included. Coupled with that, Murph, as you can see on screen here, is the one image that we do have of a new release that was mentioned through Orbix, who are partnering with Microsoft for this release as well, where you'll get the Fokker tri-motor, the Fokker F7 tri-motor to be exact, also on the same date of January 31st. This is a tri-motor monoplane that is famous. It was flown by the Australian aviator Charles Kingsford Smith, who in 1928 was the first trans-Pacific flight from the US to Australia. So again, this is a new series called the Southern Cross that's been developed by Orbix. And it'll also include an exclusive mission that recreates that flight that the aircraft is famous for.
Oh, nice. Question for anyone who's watching. So that name, Kingsford, do you know of any Australian airport named after him? Put the old answers below in the comment section there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like, another aircraft, another kind of, legendary aircraft, that being the Fokker F7. It's going to be certainly interesting. I mean, this would have been maybe the German equivalent at the time to the Ford Trimotor itself, so it's going to be interesting to see how these fly. But yeah, super news. I am a little bit upset that New Zealand don't get a mention, but at the same token, I'm so excited to be able to fly over Australia in even more detail. It's such a stunning place to fly around in, and there's already a ton of amazing airports available for Australia as well. Really, really looking forward to this next update. So, moving on, our friends over at DC Designs. Well, we know what we're looking at. We're looking at fighters, man, and they're class. But they've recently taken to the socials to give us an update on what's happening. So, Gibbo, what's happening?
Yeah, Murphy, we mentioned before that Dean at DC Designs is great at giving updates, and he did mention before that he's intending to conduct improvement work on the textures and details of predominantly the F-15 Eagles and the F-14 Tomcats. We've got some images here, as you can see on screen, as to the work in progress that he's doing on those at the moment. It's not just on the detailing, but even in terms of the switches and controls. He's adding a ton more to both respective cockpits, where he says they'll be alive in the sim, and with all functions really working. Coupled with that, then, as you can see shortly as well, what Dean also mentioned is some more updates to do with liveries. So there's some dirtied up schemes, again his words, as to what they'll be releasing shortly for the Tomcat and the F-15, yeah, they'll be available pretty soon. He did originally talk about creating livery packs. I think he was thinking about console users for that. He's kind of backtracked a little for that and may offer them for free. So
nice.
Great work again from DC.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see because, you know, we spoke about it before. Here is a developer listening to what, you know, the community are saying. They're like, hey, look, make them better looking. His whole reason for, I won't even say that they were kind of bland, but his reason for not putting so much emphasis on the textures was purely from, you know, the restrictions, if you like, that he had to deal with. But of course, with Microsoft Flight Sim, in particular with the arrival of DX12, the headroom is massive now, so they can really start packing in so much more details into their aircraft. So it's going to be interesting to see all these come to fruition. Also this week, more updates on the Concorde that will bring you guys in a couple of days as well on our next news show. So moving on. Oh, I can't wait for this thing. God almighty. It's a Pilatus PC12. Now, ailerons into wind, like he's dreamt of these things. I think he wrote a song about it. But anyway, I can't wait to see this in a sim. And when I got the news, I was aware of one developer already, which I think was it Iris. I think they got a license from Pilatus. But then I heard our good friends over at Simwork Studios are also coming up with a plan to build this. What do we know so far?
Unfortunately, we only have this one image, Murph. It was so great to see more. But you're right, Pilatus have been busy. They've struck deals with Iris, as you say, for the PC9 and the PC24. And now we're made aware that Pilatus have also struck a deal with SWS for the PC12, as you can see on screen at the moment. What we know about this, again, it's early days. The plan that SWS have shared as part of their roadmap is that they'll create one which will have a mixed glass/steam cockpit, and they will have that out towards the middle of this year, built to the same standard as the Kodiak. They will have a second version, which will be the Pilatus PC12 NG, which will have a fully fledged glass, custom glass cockpit, I should say, but that will require a lot of custom code work, and that'll come in 2023. So yeah, this, I know you've been waiting so long for this one. This does promise good things coming from SWS. But that was part of their roadmap, Murph, and they did share a bit more to do with other aircraft, including the Vans ORV-14.
We have pictures coming up there now. Looks awesome.
Yeah, so this is a kit aircraft, as you know, kind of flat pack IKEA. You build yourself in your backyard. No, I'm joking. But yeah, there's over 100 of these actually built so far, with owners do get to enjoy building it themselves, or at least that roomy cabin where they and a passenger can sit side by side. The ORV-14 and 14A are coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. They're the conventional and tricycle landing gear variants, respectively. And that'll be followed by the ORV-10 later this year, then the ORV-8 and the ORV-7 by either the year end or early in 2023. So lots going on with SWS. It's fantastic to see.
I love the Vans ORV, and you are quite right. I mean, you ring up Vans, you give them a truckload of money, and they'll send you out the parts for you to build the aircraft. But there's a ton of YouTube videos. You can just type in, you know, Vans ORV, and a lot of people have taken to kind of documenting what they've done from start to finish. And it's pretty cool. Like when you see them putting in the amount of rivets into one single wing and putting in all the spurs and everything, it's fantastic to see. But this is huge news from SWS. I mean, these guys are so busy. I think the Kodiak has been an absolute success. I think it's been amazing. I can't wait for the PC12, in particular with the NG. It's very comparable to that of a TBM. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, but the Irish Air Corps operate the PC12 NG. So I'm like, yes, I want them in my life. So I can't wait for them. So huge news from SWS. Them guys are going to be really, really busy. Not to mention, they're also working on some scenery as well. And we hope to have some news on that when we get it. So moving on. Look at this fella. He has some style, this lad, doesn't he? God, imagine, yeah.
Stadia.
Anyway, who's he? I need his autograph. He's a good-looking fella, though, isn't he? Anyway, what do we have here, Gibbo? This is it's footage from a live stream that the door blew off, but of course it's a news update from our friends over at Parallel 42. What's happening here?
Yeah, Murph, as you say, Parallel 42 joined us on stream for when you were showing that, the Freedom Fox, and that's a phenomenal aircraft, by the way.
So much fun.
But they did give us a couple tidbits for what's going on in their world that I thought it's a bit of an exclusive, maybe, for what they're thinking. And of course, they're well known originally for the Sky Park, which is fantastic. They did tell us that there is work going on there to do with the Sky OS. It's going to version V3 so that the Sky Pad experience will be much, much richer. And one of the things that they're really trying to focus on for Sky Park is an improved Endeavour mode experience as well. Endeavour mode, in case those that don't know, there's two modes in Sky Park. One is Discovery, which is kind of more laid back piloting, and the other is Endeavour mode, which is where you've got some real rewards. You've got a lot of challenges and there's lots of gamification built in, but they're really focused on that piece in terms of bringing improvements there next. We also heard from Parallel 42 that while the Bobcat is a future project, we've mentioned that on this news series before, it's not their next project. They did tell us what that is. So, well, they did and they didn't. They told us a sneak peek post that they shared on their social media could be a strong hint as to what's next. And it just so happens we might have pulled that out of their social media and on here. I think it's coming here. Yes. Yeah. So tell us what you think this is, Murph.
It's one of those fancy eggs. What were they called? You don't eat them. Fabergé egg. I believe it to be the first hot air balloon. But if they build a hot air balloon, I'm going to be left looking into the camera, strangely confused and slightly bemused. But we'll have to wait and see. But it's super exciting news from Parallel 42, and the fact that they're working on another project along with the Bobcat. They're also busy with a whole load of stuff coming out, so super news as well. So moving it on, right? Here's something that looks very familiar, but it isn't. But it is. What's happening here, Gibbo? There's like a name issue.
Yeah, this is the F22 Raptor. That's not an F22 Raptor.
Gotcha.
So yeah, try and figure that out. Right. So Lockheed Martin F22 Raptor is the precursor to the F35 that has been released of late. But this is not being called that by Iris Simulations. It's called the Advanced Tactical Fighter. So I'm presuming that there's some licensing things going on there. So this is actually going to be coming this month, Murph. However, we've so light on details with it, except to know that it's coming this month, and Iris are pretty confident that that'll indeed be the case. So will it be similar to an F-35 in terms of its normal flight without the VTOL?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's interesting. I'd love to know how the whole licensing thing works, because we're making a plane and we're calling it this. No, you can't call it that. Well, it's you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't understand the whole licensing thing. Like, it's.
Now, it's worth also mentioning, Murph, you're right. It's worth also mentioning, though, that there is a freeware version of this by Top Mock Studios that's available on flightsim.to, who have also said, following Iris Simulations' announcement, that they too are working on a high-quality payware version of the F22, and that'll be in beta soon and anticipated to be out maybe towards the end of the summer. So yeah, it's like a bus, you're waiting for ages and then two come at once. So
kind of, yeah,
F22s,
and then they're full. But anyway, moving on, a bit of GA news. I love the GA me. So FlightSimWare, well, they're bringing out a Cessna 414 Chancellor. Now, this is going to be interesting because, well, the Cessna family is huge, and you might say, sure, all the Cessnas look the same. Well, they kind of do, but also they kind of don't. What do we know about this, Gibbo?
Yeah, so the 414 is a light twin-engined IFR capable pressurized aircraft. It was about 70% done the last we had heard from FlightSimWare back last September. And we've got this new preview video that we're showing at the moment, which shows the current state. So it does seem to be much further advanced in our humble opinion. You can see that there's some fantastic night lighting options. This video also shows us what appears to be a highly detailed interior cabin, textures, and nice little cozy environment as well in the cabin, I gotta say. And look at those retro gauges mixed with a nice GPS unit in the center too. So you can see that there's an EFB here as well, which will obviously enable the activation of external equipment and doors and predetermined aircraft states. So again, light on details at the moment, Murph, but this is the next project from Flight Simware, who of course did the Grumman G44A Widgeon previously.
And that's the thing, like, the 414, it was to compete somewhere with the Pipers, but from the outside, it looks very familiar to that of the Aerostar. So this is going to be an interesting plane for sure. Maybe the pressure is on them now to release it. As I said, it looks very familiar to an Aerostar. We know the A2A are still there working away in the background. They hope to bring their Aerostar into Microsoft Flight Sim and also their Comanche as well. So exciting times definitely for aircraft. So, well, our last bit here, the last scoop is Gibbo's after making things very scientific and brought me to a new website because we're going to announce the winner of last week's competition, in which, well, one winner was going to receive a copy of the, how'd you pronounce it?
Ivalo Airport by Simulations.
That's the one. So we're friends over at Simulations. So if I press this button, huzzah, it worked. So I put in the linkage. It's loaded up 42 comments. We've had 42 comments for that. That's fantastic. So do I just click a winner?
That's it. Fingers crossed.
Pick a winner. Lars Trone won it. I love these news videos. Man, Lars, go up the yard.
Congratulations.
Lars Trone is the winner. So, Lars, best thing to do, if you can contact me on any of the socials or indeed over on Discord, and failing all of that, you'll get me at, what's my email again? I have two of them.
Info at twotonemurphy.com.
That's right, friends. You can find me right there. That was the best way to do a plug. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's how it's done. So yeah, apologies for the lateness of the news vid. There's so much in it though. Like we had to take time and you know what I mean? But we'll be back on schedule for next week. Next Tuesday, we'll have more news, and that's already building up fairly quick. Gibbo, how's the notebook? You need a new one. So yeah, so anyway, listen, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you over on the live streams every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 2000 Zulu on twitch.tv/Two Tone Murphy. So until then, look after yourselves and take care.
Take care.